to Hольменколлен in Norway for the men's relay. The wind really blowing around. The temperature just a fraction warmer, up from -15 to -11 or 12. And a really good contest in prospect here. Germany certainly hoping for more success than they had in the Hольmenkollen last year when they were beaten by the Russians. Germany, though, successful last week in Östersund ahead of Norway. Belarus were third, and Russia very disappointing down in sixth place. Italy, the Italian women didn't race today, the men very much there. Finland, who finished fifth a week ago, and there's the quartet. Now notice Sven Fischer not in the lineup, and interestingly, he who finished second, Fischer, and Magyarov, his Russian rival, neither of them racing today, and not quite certain whether the two coaches didn't have a beer last night and agree that they would pair their two men and give them a rest. Nonetheless, it's a competitive field as they double stick out of the stadium, have to stay in those lanes for the first 100 meters. 18 countries lining up today as they come to the first climb. The British not participating. They didn't do very well here on Thursday, didn't qualify their men for the pursuit yesterday. And early days. So the journey, 4 by 7.5 kilometers, 2 visits to the range. First one lying down, second one standing up. 5 shots with 3 extra bits available. But after that, any further misses, a penalty loop of 150 meters. And already making sure that he doesn't get wrapped up in the traffic there was Alexei Adirov of Belarus, who's gone through in the lead. Finland a little way down the field. Also, the Germans way at the back there. Oh, and a tumble down. Looked to be like Ruslan Lysenko of the Ukraine there, the victim of all of that. But interesting that the Germans, Rico Gross, towards the back of the pack, and they haven't got the clean start they were hoping for. Well, you saw the disaster there. Hopefully not so bad. Norway in second place. Russia well ahead of Germany at the moment. And here comes I was going to say here comes the Germans. I haven't actually managed to spot Rico Gross, so clearly he's moved up a place or two. So Team 4, Belarus. Team 1 is Norway. And then 2, Austria. 9 going through there, that's Latvia. And just a bit difficult when they all roll their bibs up to pick out exactly who they are. I have to admit, they're not all familiar faces to me. And right at the back, Estonia bringing up the rear. Really lovely day. Conditions very good, no excuses. Certainly in terms of the skiing. We'll try and have a look at the wind when they come into the range for the first time. Russia, who won here last year. Germany, though, the Olympic champions in Norway in '94, also won the title in '92. So still Austria now on terms with, in second place, Norway, and the Germans are in the first 5. That caption doesn't really register their appearance on the left there, but I can tell you they are now. Rico Gross has got himself into contention. Still Estonia there at the back, but perhaps not at the back for too much longer now. had an injury, difficult to tell, could be to one of the French. And really picking up speed. You can really feel 40 kilometers an hour as they whip down these very well prepared downhill sections. Steeper than it looks. Little roller coaster in the middle. And you've really got to stay aerodynamic and let the skis run. So the leaders coming down towards the finish, and it's Austria's Wolfgang Perner who leads the way at the moment. Past the statue of King Olaf, past the Hольменколлен chapel, but still a good group of competitors close together. So Austria, Norway, the first two countries. For Norway, it's Ole Einar Bjørndalen. For Austria, it's Wolfgang Perner. For Germany, it's Rico Gross. Sweden's first man. Also in that group. So Michael Lofgren in the blue and yellow in fourth place for Sweden as they go round the base of the hill. Lofgren, who's improving in the World Cup rankings, the 1993 World Cup champion, just outside the top 15. But he's had a better week here in Oslo than he had in Lillehammer, where he picked up absolutely no points at the beginning of the season. And there's Rico Gross just behind Lofgren. So if you come in first, you have the choice of lane. The Norway closest to us. And this will be fast and furious. So aiming at the size of a golf ball, 50 meters away. Ole Einar Bjørndalen. Bjørndalen on the podium yesterday. Third place. And those, of course, are graphic impressions, so without the names, I can't help you at the moment. But hopefully we'll get a guide as they come out. Michael Lofgren of Sweden, well to the fore. And that looks like Austria in second place, Norway a third. And the Czech Republic in fifth place. Germany sixth, 12 seconds covering the first five countries. Where are the Russians? Poland getting out. And the Russians just in that little group there. Well, Lofgren leading Sweden's challenge. A while since Sweden hit the headlines. They got the bronze medal in the 92 Olympic Games. That will be the most recent major achievement by a Swedish biathlon team. But already Lofgren has been passed by Norway's Ole Einar Bjørndalen. Out for another couple of kilometers before they come back in to shoot for the second time. In third place there, that's Perner of Austria. 14, that's the Czech Republic with Peter Gaborik on the first leg. And through next is Germany, Rico Gross. Coming up there, Italy. Renato Ranucci opening the account of the Italians. Just behind him, Idorov of Belarus. '18 is the United States. So here's the Norwegian who leads this race. Ole Einar Bjørndalen, Scandinavian 1-2 at the moment. Norway, who finished third here a year ago. They dearly love to win a relay like this, and they're perfectly capable of doing it. They've got good speed across the snow. If they can control their shooting in the range, there's every chance of a success, and that really would be a turn-up. The Norwegians won the last relay of last season, but were outrun and outgunned in Sweden last weekend when they were beaten by Germany. 15.7 seconds separated the two, but at the moment Germany with ground to make up, some 23 seconds. So the Norwegians technically have got a shot in hand over the Germans. The Italians half a minute back. But this can all change on the relay. If somebody has a nightmare in the range, if one or two of them do, the order can change quite decidedly. On the climb. Good flowing rhythm here by Bjørndalen. "22 years of age from Simmerstranda. Here's his closest pursuer, Michael Lofgren. Goes through. Lofgren, 27, from Torsby. Czech Republic, Germany. Sweden trying to close the gap, with a real opportunity to make time also coming in the shooting range. Team just going through. Team from Poland. Try and look for the back marker towards the back. Team 9 from Latvia. So Norway's leader, Ole Einar Bjørndalen, coming into the range now. In good form a couple of seasons ago, rather lost his way last year, dropped down the rankings to 9th, which is certainly not an unrespectable position. But looking in the last few days, the last week, as if he's really coming back to something like his best form. Already getting prepared to shoot. Needs to, wants to maintain, and in fact, if he can, build on this advantage to give the next man a bigger advantage. Egil Jelland, who'll be taking over after Ole Bjørndalen has shot and skied another 2,500 meters to come back into the stadium for the handover. Coming up to the range, you can see it's well, it's not really a headwind, it's a cross headwind from roughly left to right. But shooting, certainly in the women's competition, was pretty decent. And indications are in the men's competition that it's not really a problem, the wind out on the range. Certainly not at this moment. So comes on the mat at 13 minutes 26 seconds, and the second man's in, and that's Lofgren of Sweden. Lofgren, chance to catch up now because Bjørndalen's going to have to go for extra bullets. And that's going to allow the rest to close up. Here's the Norwegian taking extra, but he can't afford any more mistakes, or he's going to be going around the penalty loop. Got to take his time. He knows he's under pressure, but the order's going to change. Just gets out there now, Norway, but in fact he's got a penalty loop to do. I'm pretty sure of that. And who's going to get out ahead? Could it be the Germans who are going to get there? Austria have got 5 out of 5. The Czech Republic also. So Germany get out ahead there. Good shooting by Rico Gross. Austria and Sweden taking advantage of the Norwegian shooting laps. And that's dropped Norway back 14 seconds. So in the last couple of minutes, they've given away the best part of half a minute. So here is Rico Gross, and he's really got motivation now. Suddenly he was slow at the start, behind at the first visit to the range, but now he finds himself in front. 26 years of age from Ruhpolding, Olympic sprint silver medalist in 1992 and again in 1994. 5 times a World Cup runner-up individually. He's never individually stood on top of a podium himself. And there's his closest pursuers, Löfgren of Sweden and the Austrian, Wolfgang Perner, respectively in second and third. Norway's man, Jondalen, who is quick across the snow, now moving himself up into what looks to be 4th place. And then the Czech Republic also in that little group there, together with Belarus. Italians trying to make up ground. And the big surprise at the moment is the failure of the Russians to really make themselves felt. Sergei Roshkov is the man on the first leg. The Russians wearing bib number 8 today, but at the moment they're not a threat to the leaders. So Germany on their way to the first change. Sweden, Norway's Ole-Ein Bjørndalen has moved up from, what, 5th or 6th at the end of the last round of shooting. After making that mistake, he's moved up into 2nd place. Not too far to go now. Still some work to do for Rico Gross, and he's got to keep driving on here, because slowly but surely Bjørndalen is pulling this back. Belarus coming through behind Austria, then Finland, then the Czech Republic, then Italy, and here's the second man for Germany. Well, you briefly saw him, Peter Sendel, regular man of the German quartet. 16, that's Slovenia. 9, Latvia. Oleg Maluins outside the top 30 in the individual rankings. So Russia, the big surprise at the moment, they're really not on the premises. Norway, Sweden and Austria, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Then Belarus and Finland. Czech Republic coming up now. Italy. And the order not really changing. Just a question whether Bjørndalen of Norway can get on the heels of Rico Gross. To be Slovenia. Maybe then the Russians and then the tail enders. So Rico Gross, I'm sure delighted to be coming into the stadium with clear snow ahead of him and quite a lot of it behind him as well. 10 out of 10 at the range. Been as high as 5th in the World Cup rankings. Currently he's in 12th place, but early days in the season. And he'll certainly be hoping for a place in the German team at the World Championships. Not far to go to the handover to Peter Sendel. So Sendel takes over. Sweden's man coming in. Sweden away. Tord Vixten on the second leg for them. The Austrians represented on this second rotation by Reinhard Neuner. Belarus going away in fourth place, Alexei Morshakin. And Finland 23 seconds off the pace. That's the Czech Republic just changing over. Together with the Italians. Clock still ticking away. Three at the back there. The French are way back at the moment as well. All the back markers, Latvia, Estonia, pretty well changed now, but still the Russians not a factor. Belarus being chased now here by Finland, and Italy making a bit of progress. The Czech Republic just beginning to drop back. Ivan Masaryk representing them on this second leg, and meanwhile almost out on his own here, Germany's Peter Sendel. In his sights though, Igor Yelland has got the German there, and Sweden also still very much there toward Vixten. Austria. And some big spaces beginning to develop between these men. They've got visual contact, but the gaps are widening. Yelland's at just 23 from Rost. So the order as it was when they left the changeover zone. Austria next. Belarus. Half a minute to make up. Italy moving forward. Czech Republic and Finland just dropping off the pace a little bit now. Further down the pack here, Japan, Team 11, just being headed there by Slovenia. And 1,000 meters to go before Peter Sendel gets into the range. Beginning to look forward to that, I think, as Still chasing hard, Eagle Jelland. Swede Vixten still doing well here. Austria's trying to make contact. Italy have certainly made a little progress. Got ahead of Belarus. Czech Republic of Finland. And interesting there, cutting the corner and coming out of the tracks. Not sure that that's necessarily faster, but clearly Jelland knows the feeling of his skis. Looking a touch slow are the Austrians. And so Germany emerged from the woods for the first visit to the range. Peter Central just skating to keep the speed going, to keep the momentum up. Has the luxury of being able to come in his own time and in his own way. And as he comes around the bottom turn, he'll get a perfect view of his closest pursuer. He'll be off to his right-hand side. And it's still Norway. So Jelland within 20 seconds of the leader. So now Stendal to keep that advantage. Bring the heart rate down, not make any mistakes, not take any more than the 3 extra bullets. That's the main thing that he has to achieve. From Overhoff, soldier by profession, keen snowboarder when he's not occupied with biathlon. Jelland for Norway. Almost side by side, but Sendal gets the first shot in. Norway trying to catch up here and give them the opportunity, as Sendal has to go for an extra shot, but so too does Jelland. Germany and Norway have finally got all 5 targets out of the way. No penalty loops for either of them, but the gap has visibly closed. Norway have got that a little bit closer. Maybe it's down to 8 seconds, but less than that perhaps. And indeed 2.6 seconds on the top left there, but leaving the range, I'd have said it was more like 6 or 7 seconds. Sweden were in 3rd place, ahead of Austria, but they've reversed that. Austria now ahead of Finland. Sweden, who clearly Vixten's had troubles. And Belarus move up, Sweden now coming out. So still quite tight up there in the lead. Germany being closed on now by Norway. Sendal it is, ahead of Jelland. Both taking extra bullets, but right together now. And Norway would dearly love to win this. And the way it's going at the moment, they could. Dagbjørn Dalen and Frode Andersen, the two men on the third and fourth legs. Austria here ahead of the Finns. Italy are on the left, Belarus on the right, Sweden blue and yellow, bib number 12. Then team 3, that's the French, with Patrice Baïsana on leg number 2. Had a tremendous performance in the pursuit. Started 60th yesterday, finished 17th. And I don't think that Jelland is too unhappy to let Sendel of Germany do the work. Maybe on the drop down towards the stadium, he'll decide to take up the lead. No change. The order just the same. Important to keep moving today. It is chilly, despite that sun glowing around the hills here. Finland ahead of Austria. Italy are next. Sweden moving ahead of Belarus, or trying to. Here at the Hольmenkollen, it's still nip and tuck between Norway, who are now just ahead of Germany. It was Jelland, who's done a really good job here on the second leg to keep tabs on Peter Sendel. This time they're standing up, and absolutely crucial that neither man makes a mistake at this stage, because once they've completed this round of shooting, it's 2,000 meters, a little bit more than that, to bring them back into the stadium for the next changeover. So both together. Norway closest to you. Here's Jelland. Now what can he do about this? Outside the top 20 in the World Cup rankings. Sendel also out in the top 20, just 21st. Sendel just a little bit quicker, and he's got his 5 shots away, so the advantage to him. Norway's man needs, yes, and he's done it as well. So good shooting by both men keeps this contest really exciting. But you can see the German here, he's made what, 10, 15, 20 meters. In a range, Finland. Russians beginning to make a little progress, but they're way off the back of the leaders at the moment. France, Patrice Baïsana trying to move up into a challenging position. The Finns, who are not the quickest in the world at the moment, but their shooting getting better and making progress into 3rd place, Finland. Belarus and France. Team 5, that's Italy. Patrick Favre taking over from René Katarinusi, who ran the first leg. Now coming out here, Sweden, a minute off the pace. Toward Vixton. Then France and Belarus. Russia on this second leg, trying to make up the lost time. So Pavel Muslimov, the second best biathlete of the current season, but having to dip in for extra bullets. And he can't afford mistakes like this. They've had a nightmare start, the Russians. They were the winners here 12 months ago. But they were disappointing in Östersund. They were only 6th there last weekend. And Maigurov the number one biathlete, not in that Russian quartet. Perhaps they'd wish they'd put him in now. Back with the leaders, Germany, and that's the advantage that Peter Sendel's got over Igor Jelland. Jelland will be handing over to Dagbjørn Dalen for the third leg. Looking pretty strong still. Sendel not really getting away from his closest pursuer. But anything will be greatly received by his teammate in terms of seconds advantage. At the moment, what, 8-9 seconds. Finland. Really a bold showing. It was Ville Räikkönen on the first leg, but Paavo Purinen, who isn't the quickest across country, but his shooting has been very good. The other day he notched up a 10 out of 10 in the sprint. So the Germans keeping wrapped up. So Finland have got, what, 40 seconds. That's worth 2 shots, if you like. 2 penalty loops, that's the equivalent of. So the first 2, that's their real advantage over the third place team. Now France were doing quite well, and so were Sweden. Sweden still in 4th place at the moment as we move up the trail here. Jelland trying to peg back Sendel. Was about 8 or 9 seconds. Don't think the gap's really changed, and the clock really confirms that. Half a minute back were the Finns, and it's still to come into shot. Here comes Purinen. Purinen, youngster relatively, only 23, was down in 41st place last year in the World Cup rankings, and he's outside the top 40 at the moment, but learning his trade, and he's a solid member of their relay quartet now. Anybody who shoots as well as he's shooting at the moment deserves to be in the team, but hasn't got the speed across the snow. 4th place at the moment, Sweden. And a little group here. Now this is interesting. After the Swedes, just a bit too far away for us to pick out. The Belarus are there. They're the middle of this little sandwich. Italy, Belarus, I think it is, and then France at the back. Sendel really driving on here. Plenty of support. Germany, who've had such a wonderful start to this biathlon season, both in the men's and the women's squad. The women have certainly fared well here. The first hiccup, I suppose you could say, of the Oslo meet. This morning's relay taken by Russia. Other than that, Diesel, the name on the top of all the other result sheets. Pushy Diesel for Germany. Sendel separated by the length of the curve at the bottom of the winning arc. Hands over there. Peter Sendel, hands on. So does Igor Jelland. So Dagbjørn Dalen now for Norway, and for Germany, Mark Kirchner. A very much improved Mark Kirchner, getting the opportunity to come into the team with Sven Fischer rested today. And Finland's third man on will be Latvala, which we think is a late change. It was going to be Jaakko Niemi, but passed to us, Berkki Latvala is going to be the third man. And a confirmation, it is indeed Latvala that has the responsibility for trying to close up on the first 2 and hold off all those behind. Sweden now swinging in towards the changeover zone. Richard Noberius standing, getting himself moving now. Pat on the back from Tord Vixen, and away he goes. French lining up here. Patrice Bailly-Salin for France has done a terrific job as he hands on to Raphael Poiré. And I would expect Poiré, who's in good form also, maybe to make ground there. Belarus also in that little group, handing over, represented by Petr Ivashko, who's taken over from Alexei Morshakin after the second leg. So, one going up the hill, Dag Bjorndalen, pursuing Mark Kirchner. Third place, Finland, on his own at the moment, but will he stay alone for long? Got a useful advantage. Sweden. So a real Scandinavian feeling to the leaderboard. Russia not at the races at the moment. The French making a bit of ground, and here looks like one racer who's just about to be reeled in. It's Richard Noberius of Sweden being pursued here by Raphael Poiré of France, really looking very positive. Then the man from Belarus behind Petr Ivashko, and finally it's Italy's Hubert Leitgeb. And the gap has closed here, and Dag Bjorndalen, who's not in the top 40 in the World Cup, beginning to make time on Mark Kirchner, who's the 9th best biathlete. Mark, very good in the shooting range. He's been very steady this season. Hasn't been the quickest by any means, but he's been very reliable, and maybe that's where he's going to have to make it pay. Maybe Dag Bjorndalen of Norway is going to catch up with him, but will the Norwegian be as good when it comes to marksmanship? Now the Finns are not making any ground. They're losing seconds here. So dropping back in third place, Finland, dropping off the front two even further. Now, Sweden, the gap between Sweden and Finland has closed, and it's certainly closed with France now getting almost onto the heels of the Swedes. So Germany, still 1,100 meters, so they get into the stadium for the first time to shoot. Bjorndalen, stocky biathlete, really trying to make sure that when they run down to the stadium, he doesn't have to chase too hard. He can cruise in on the shoulder of the German and not run the risk of shooting a little too hastily and being unable to control his breathing. But Vala, the late replacement here for Jakoniemi. No news as to why that substitution has been made. Probably quite simple, cold and flu. And just looking who's moved here. Sweden are third, and Finland are third, and Sweden are fourth, and in fifth place now looks to be the French, Raphael Poiré. And now also getting into the fight here are the Italians, the Belarus, and Sweden at the back. Still the Russians out of sight here. It's a huge task for Rostovtsev to achieve. Mind you, here is Rostovtsev just coming through now, and he's got 1 minute and 27 seconds to make up. So Rozhkov on the anchor leg having an awful time. Muslimov not being able to pull back the deficit, and Russian hopes rest now with Rostovtsev on this third leg, and then Alexei Kobolev on the anchor leg. But 1.5 minutes is, well, frankly, too much. They lost out by that sort of time to Germany at the end of the Swedish relay last weekend. And we're barely halfway, well, we are just over halfway through today's relay. So Rostovtsev has really got a task. So Mark Kirchner, terrifically experienced. Good to see him back in the relay team. He hasn't been in for a while. 26 years of age, 14 years in the sport. The world champion in 1991, he did the double. Won the 20-kilometer gold medal and the 10-kilometer sprint. Was the Olympic champion of sprint in 1992 and took the silver medal in the Albertville Games as well. Height of his powers then, but just suggesting he might have found his form and certainly looking hungry here to return to the top flight of the sport. So Germany versus Norway for first place. It's Kirchner versus Dag Bjørndalen. Bjørndalen is the man you're looking at the moment. Same age as Kirchner, 26. Kirchner has been steady in the range, taking his time, goes in for the first extra bullet. And Bjørndalen, 5 out of 5, and gets a good advantage here. And Norway really cheer. Second extra bullet. Kirchner feeling the pressure perhaps. Hasn't got up yet. So Germany relinquished the lead, and poor Mark Kirchner really is suffering, and he's going to lose second place here, I fancy. Particularly if he misses. If he misses this, he's going to be around Finland into second place. Their man gets up, and Germany have lost a big advantage coming up towards it, and Germany with a missed shot, and he's going around the penalty loop. Finland with half a minute to make up, and suddenly this relay, which was a little dull, almost put us to sleep, has woken up in a big way now, and the Russians not so far behind either now. Germany, having done the penalty loop, he's a minute off the pace. Remember, he came in 17 seconds ahead. So the Italians really making third rotation of this 7x5 kilometer relay in the Biathlon World Cup, the second relay of the season, and Norway have an advantage of over 30 seconds over the closest challenger, and the closest challenger is the Italian Hubert Leitgeb, who's moved into second place. The Germans, after that mistake, have hauled themselves back into third, and that's terrific work by Mark Kirchner, who's really got to be applauded for his effort there. Belarus ahead of France. For Belarus, that's Petr Ivashko ahead of Rafael Poiré. But this relay not over yet. They've still got a changeover for the last time, but Norwegian fans really getting excited now. The Norwegians who won the last relay of the last World Cup season, hoping that their man can hold on. Nice way to round off the Hольmenkollen meet. Round 3 of 8 in this season's Biathlon World Cup. Dag Bjørndalen, whose shooting has made all the difference, particularly at the last visit to the range. To be applauded, but he's still got a little bit of work to do. Bjørndalen, member of the Norwegian relay squad that finished 4th in the World Championships at Ruhpolding last year. Yet to stand on the podium in his own right in either an endurance or a sprint race, but he's going to enjoy this. Still got to shoot, of course, one more time before he hands over. And if he's in the lead when he comes in here for the last time, when he'll be handing over to Frode Andersen, then the Norwegians are really going to have something to shout about. This shooting standing up much the harder of the two visits to the range. Much harder to hold the base. Remember, you're chasing around, skiing as fast as you can. You have to bring the heart rate down, minimize, reduce, cut out totally any body movement. And you know what it's like if you run and you suddenly stop and try and just control standing still. It's not easy. The legs are shaking and wobbling. Brings the circulation around, flows.
Avec Bjørndalen qui peut envisager son tir avec sérénité. Il a de l'avance, il le sait. Il doit prendre son temps, assurer un petit peu. Pour l'instant, c'est un tir parfait. C'est terminé donc pour Dag Bjørndalen. Il a terminé avec le tir. Il va pouvoir maintenant filer pour donner le 4e relais. Alors là, il a marqué un gros coup, Dag Bjørndalen. Il a frappé très fort. Car maintenant, ses adversaires doivent faire aussi bien pour conserver seulement l'écart. Et l'écart que Bjørndalen a creusé à l'issue du premier tir couché. Alors là, il faut que Raphaël Poiré tire bien et vite, car il a un superbe coup à jouer. Ça part bien pour Raphaël. Allez, plus qu'une balle. Et c'est bon pour Raphaël Poiré qui va partir en 2e position. Je vous le disais, hein, il avait confiance en son ski. Et il ne s'est pas trop livré pour conserver sa respiration et son souffle pour ce tir debout. Raphaël Poiré maintenant qui part en 2e position. Ça va être dur d'aller chercher le Norvégien, même s'il n'y a que 38 secondes. Super coup à jouer pour les Français. Je vous rappelle la composition de ce relais. Thierry Dussert en premier relayeur. Patrice Bailly-Salin, le meilleur tricolore en ce qui concerne le classement de la Coupe du Monde cette saison pour l'instant. Raphaël Poiré et ensuite Hervé Flandin pour en finir. Attention quand même aux Allemands, ils n'ont pas dit leur dernier mot. Marc Kirchner, s'il a eu des problèmes au tir couché, s'est bien rattrapé au tir debout. Alors que l'on a vu un concurrent partir. Regardez l'écart de 38 secondes entre Bjørndalen et Poiré. Mais encore 30 secondes quasiment entre le Français et Marc Kirchner, l'Allemand. Les Finlandais toujours dans le coup. Et les Russes qui repointent leur nez. Je vous en parlais. Pavel Muslimov et maintenant Pavel Rostotsev qui remontent un petit peu leur équipe. Rostotsev qui effectue sa première saison complète. Les voici les Russes. 6e, ça va quand même être dur d'aller chercher une place sur le podium. Eux qui ont terminé 2e de l'épreuve à Östersund et qui sont les champions du monde en titre. Mais Rostotsev, il a fait un coup tellement impressionnant hier. Partie 56, il est revenu à la 12e place. Pour sa première saison complète, c'est quand même une belle performance. Et 2 podiums à Lillehammer également. En sprint et en poursuite, 3e et 2e. Mais pour l'instant, l'équipe qui est en forme, le héros de ce relais masculin, c'est Dag Bjørndalen qui a creusé l'écart décisif sur les Allemands grâce au problème de tir de Marc Kirchner. Alors qu'on s'affaire du côté de Frode Andresen pour le 4e relais, c'est lui que l'on vient de voir. Et puis en plus, il a l'avantage d'avoir son public. Dag Bjørndalen. Espérons pour lui qu'il ne va pas marquer le pas. Et voici Raphaël Poiré. Et c'est superbe ce que réalisent les tricolores. Et il le sait maintenant, Raphaël Poiré, qui n'est plus très loin. Tout à l'heure, alors qu'il s'apprêtait à rentrer sur le pas de tir, on entendait les membres de l'équipe de France qui lui disaient « Allez, 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 tu n'es qu'à 1 minute de la tête ». Et maintenant, à l'issue de la sortie du pas de tir, il n'était à 38 secondes. Et peut-être s'est-il encore amélioré. Oui, il est plus qu'à 30 secondes, Raphaël Poiré. Il est en train de grappiller du temps à Dag Bjørndalen. Voici l'Allemand Marc Kirchner qui lui n'a rien repris, aux Français en tout cas. 4 petites secondes seulement à Bjørndalen. Et rien sur Raphaël Poiré, c'est plutôt une bonne nouvelle côté tricolore. Marc Kirchner qui n'avait plus l'habitude de courir le relais avec son équipe nationale, puisqu'habituellement on y retrouvait évidemment Sven Fischer en dernier relayeur, Rico Gross, Peter Zendel depuis l'an dernier et Frank Luuk qui sera le dernier relayeur. Mais Kirchner, malgré son palmarès, est toujours prêt à servir la cause de sa sélection. L'écart qui se stabilise entre Raphaël et Bjørndalen. Et il a beaucoup donné Raphaël Poiré. Et c'est normal qu'il ne puisse revenir comme une fusée sur Dag Bjørndalen. C'est déjà bien de stabiliser l'écart à 30 secondes car on ne sait jamais ce qui peut se passer dans le dernier relais d'Hervé Flandin. Et en ce qui concerne Marc Kirchner, l'écart est toujours stable également à 1 km et 100 mètres du passage de dernier relais. Les Bélarusses et Petr Ivashko, la Bélarusse qui avait terminé 3e de l'épreuve à Östersund devant les Russes de Pavel Rostovtsev qui remonte. Et Dag Bjørndalen qui rentre dans le stade pour passer le dernier relais à Frode Andresen. Il est en tête devant Raphaël Poiré, le français. Au dernier pointage, à un peu plus d'1 kilomètre de ce passage de relais, il avait 30 secondes d'avance sur Raphaël Poiré. Raphaël qu'on n'aperçoit pas dans ce stadium. Le voici Frode Andresen. 5e de la poursuite hier, 2e du sprint jeudi. Et 4e actuellement à la Coupe du Monde. Et si tout se passe bien, les Norvégiens devraient pouvoir remporter le premier relais de la saison. En tout cas en ce qui les concerne, car sinon ce sont les Allemands qui s'étaient imposés en Suède à Östersund. Et puis attention, pour le podium, il reste les Russes. On ne les a pas vus pendant plus de la moitié de la course. Et les Russes, grâce à Pavel Muslimov et Pavel Rostovtsev, sont revenus. Et l'écart s'est stabilisé, 31 secondes. Et c'est maintenant Hervé Flandin qui s'envole. Enfin, c'est tout ce qu'on lui souhaite. Un envol à Hervé Flandin pour pouvoir remonter sur Frode Andresen. Il va falloir qu'il gère également Flandin parce qu'il faut qu'il soit rapide à ski, mais également qu'il assure au tir. L'écart était d'1 minute 03 entre le leader et les Allemands. Il a un petit peu diminué. Marc Kirchner, lui, fait de la place à une valeur sûre du relais allemand. Frank Luuk, champion du monde de sprint il y a déjà bien longtemps, en 89. 2e des championnats du monde en 91. Frank Luuk qui a réalisé un super début de saison avec une 5e et une 7e place à Lillehammer. Et les Russes, les voici, ils sont juste derrière les Bélarusses. Vous les voyez, et le dernier relayeur, c'est Alexei Kobelev, qui ne compte qu'une seule victoire en Coupe du Monde à Oberhof, en sprint en 95. Oberhof, c'est à la prochaine manche de Coupe du Monde, début janvier, en Allemagne. Dernier relais en tête, toujours Frode Andresen pour la Norvège devant le français Hervé Flandin. Et la 3e place est occupée par Frank Luuk, l'allemand. Il va falloir que Hervé se méfie du retour de Frank Luuk. Le voici Frode Andresen. Frank Luuk, il a de l'expérience à 29 ans. Il est sur le circuit depuis 1989 et surtout il pratique le biathlon depuis maintenant 17 ans. Un spectateur là qui a traversé, qui a glissé. Heureusement que ce n'était pas au passage d'un concurrent et notamment de Frode Andresen. Et voici Hervé Flandin. Une victoire en Coupe du Monde pour Hervé Flandin, c'était en 91 à Cannes-Mort. L'écart qui s'est un petit peu creusé entre le Norvégien et le Français, puisqu'Hervé Flandin a perdu 8 secondes depuis son passage de relais, 8 secondes en 900 mètres. Ça va être difficile de revenir. Il va falloir également résister au retour de l'Allemand. Encore une fois, comme dans toutes les épreuves de biathlon, la décision devrait donc se faire au tir. Et même si en relais on possède 3 pioches, on n'est jamais à l'abri d'une mésaventure. Mark Kirchner nous l'a rappelé tout à l'heure, le 3e relayeur allemand. Mais alors que chez les dames, le podium d'Östersund et celui d'Hольmenkollen sont rigoureusement identiques, ça serait pas mal, ça serait intéressant quand même de voir un petit peu de changement chez les messieurs. Et puisque les Russes ont décidé de laisser Maïgourov, Drachev et Tarasov au repos, évidemment l'équipe de Russie est handicapée. Une équipe de Russie qui, je vous le rappelle, s'est imposée chez les femmes, tout comme donc à Östersund, devant l'Allemagne, la Norvège. La France a terminé 4e, une place de mieux qu'en Suède. Et là, on pourrait assister chez les messieurs à un changement complètement radical du paysage, puisque les Norvégiens n'étaient pas sur le podium, les Français non plus. Mais il ne faut pas vraiment compter, en tout cas en ce qui concerne Hervé Flandin, sur un fléchissement de Frank Luuk. C'est rare que ça lui arrive. Je vous disais que c'est un homme sûr du relais. Et derrière les Bélarusses et les Russes, toujours au coude à coude pour la 4e place. Et ça sera dur pour Alexei Kobelev de revenir sur l'Allemand. Frode Andresen qui va bientôt se présenter pour son premier tir, le tir couché. Et lui qui est en tête avec plus de 30 secondes d'avance sur Hervé Flandin le Français et environ 1 minute sur l'Allemand Frank Luuk. Une petite déception par rapport au début de course, ce sont les Italiens. Grâce à René Catarinossi et à Patrick Favre, ils avaient pendant un temps obtenu la 2e place. Mais ils ont rétrogradé ensuite avec des problèmes au tir. Et Pier Alberto Carrara, le dernier relayeur, ne semble pas pouvoir revenir. Lui qui n'est pas trop en forme pour ce week-end à Hольmenkollen, 86e du sprint. Il ne s'était même pas qualifié pour la poursuite à cause de 4 fautes au tir notamment. Mais là on va suivre Frode Andresen pour le tir couché. Frode Andresen, champion du monde junior en 93 par équipe. Il n'a que 22 ans. Champion du monde avec la Norvège en 95. Il assurait alors le 2e relais en compagnie de Dag Bjørndalen, qu'on en a vu plus tôt, Alvard Hannevold et Jonna Götildum. Jonna Götildum qui n'est pas présent pour cette épreuve du relais, le vainqueur de la Coupe du Monde 95, un petit peu hors de forme. Il va devoir piocher une fois Andresen. Et voici Hervé Flandin qui se présente à son tour sur le pas de tir. Ouais, c'est bon ça pour Hervé Flandin. Il voit qu'Andresen connaît des problèmes au tir. 2e pioche pour le Norvégien. 3e pioche pour le Norvégien. Hervé Flandin, lui, n'a toujours pas... Si, ça y est, il a commencé à tirer. Oh, ça va vite pour Flandin. Oh, c'est bon pour Flandin. Et le Français qui va repartir quasiment dans le même temps que Andresen. Et c'est plutôt une bonne nouvelle pour les tricolores, car maintenant le Français aura le Norvégien en point de mire. Le Norvégien qui va même être obligé de faire un tour de pénalité. C'est donc Hervé Flandin qui prend le commandement de la course alors qu'il reste un tir debout. On ne va rien dire hein, parce qu'on est plutôt un peu superstitieux. On ne va rien dire, mais pour l'instant Hervé Flandin est tout proche de l'exploit. Il est 15 secondes devant Andresen, rien n'est terminé. Et Frank Luuk lui en termine. Les Russes bien partis pour prendre la 4e place également. Voici les Russes qui vont repartir devant leurs adversaires bélarusses. Les Russes logiquement en 4e place devant les Bélarusses et les Finlandais. Et mais Andresen qui après 4 premiers tirs parfaits n'a pas réussi à descendre la cible du milieu avec 3 pioches. Il a donc dû faire un tour de pénalité de 150 mètres. Évidemment il a perdu pas mal de temps. 15 secondes, vous le voyez, c'est l'écart qui sépare Hervé Flandin et de Andresen, alors que lorsque le Français s'est présenté sur le pas de tir, il avait plus de 30 secondes de retard sur le Norvégien. Ça s'est beaucoup resserré d'ailleurs en tête. C'est toujours très indécis. 5 équipes en 55 secondes. Elles peuvent toutes encore prétendre, peut-être pas à la victoire, mais en tout cas au podium. Et ce que je disais tout à l'heure sur Hervé Flandin avec Andresen en point de mire, c'est l'inverse qui se déroule maintenant, puisque c'est Andresen qui voit la combinaison tricolore du Français. La victoire qui se jouera sans doute entre ces 3 hommes, Flandin, Andresen, Frank Luuk et qui sait, avec le retour des Russes, on ne sait jamais. Alexei Kobelev avec son numéro 8 ici, le Russe, parfaitement lancé par Muslimov et Rotsotsev. Et quel travail a dû effectuer Pavel Muslimov, le 2e relayeur. Car franchement, Sergei Rojkov avait fait un petit peu passer dans l'anonymat cette équipe russe, alors que ce sont les champions du monde. Et Flandin lui va sans doute se faire rejoindre par Andresen. Et si Flandin tire aussi bien qu'il l'a fait en tir couché, s'il le fait aussi bien en tir debout, ça promet une fin de course passionnante. Et voilà, il est repassé devant Andresen. Il faut qu'il s'accroche, Hervé Flandin, car il est motivé, le Norvégien. Il faut qu'il s'accroche, Hervé Flandin, il le sait. Et c'est difficile cette situation, car en même temps il ne doit pas laisser trop d'efforts. La course n'est pas terminée, il reste 4 km. Les Français qui n'auront pas été en tête bien longtemps. Frank Luuk, l'Allemand, qui lui va bientôt sentir derrière lui le retour d'Alexei Kobelev, le Russe. Le voici, Kobelev, toujours à la lutte avec Oleg Rychenkov, le Bélarusse. À la tête de la course, alors qu'il ne reste plus qu'un tir dans ce relais masculin d'Hольmenkollen. La tête de la course est occupée par le Norvégien Frode Andresen devant le Français Hervé Flandin. Flandin qui, à l'issue du premier tir couché, était sorti en tête. Mais là, il a du mal à skier, Hervé Flandin. 15 secondes d'avance pour le Français à l'issue du premier tir couché. Et là, 7 ou 8 au 3 km 9. Il faut qu'il s'accroche absolument, Hervé Flandin. Mais qu'il conserve des réserves, car on ne sait jamais ce qui peut advenir dans le tir debout. À la lutte pour la 4e place entre Oleg Rychenkov et Alexei Kobelev, le Russe. Alors Kobelev, champion du monde en relais avec son équipe russe. Erychenkov, lui, est champion du monde par équipe avec la Bélarusse. Vesa Yetalati et pour les Finlandais. La différence quand même entre Frande Andresen et Hervé Flanda, outre la forme du moment, c'est également le public. Et quel écart creusé par Andresen. Ah là, il vient de faire une boucle absolument monstrueuse. Ah, il est régulier depuis le début de saison, outre 2 16e places seulement à Lillehammer, une 2e en sprint à Östersund, une 2e encore ici jeudi dernier et une 5e en poursuite. Comme quoi, Hervé Flanda est tombé sur un client, mais il est toujours là, le Français. On le voit juste derrière, à une dizaine de secondes. Il faut qu'il s'accroche, Hervé Flanda. Car Andresen a connu des problèmes au tir couché. Qui sait si ça ne pourrait pas lui arriver une autre fois au tir debout. Alors maintenant, on doit penser un peu tactique dans la tête de Flanda. Soit on récupère le maximum, au maximum, juste avant de tirer. Soit on donne tout ce qu'on a pour arriver en même temps sur le pas de tir et évidemment mettre la pression sur son adversaire. Je pense plutôt que le Français va opter pour la récupération. En espérant évidemment que son adversaire connaisse un petit fléchissement au tir. Il n'est toujours pas sur le pas de tir, si le voici Hervé Flanda. Il semble un peu essoufflé, hein, et la bouche grande ouverte à la recherche d'oxygène, Hervé Flanda. La première balle est dehors, la deuxième aussi pour Andresen. Une pioche pour Andresen. La première également dehors pour Flanda. Andresen qui connaît beaucoup de problèmes au tir. Une pioche pour Hervé Flanda. Et les Allemands, ça va vite, attention les Allemands. Je vous le disais, Franck Louk, une valeur sûre du relais, il a terminé, alors qu'Hervé Flanda, lui, n'a toujours pas terminé. C'est terminé pour Andresen. Encore un renversement de situation. Voilà, Hervé Flanda qui en termine, mais qui va repartir en 3 ou 4e position. Et puisque il y a un concurrent qui est parti effectuer un tour de pénalité. Il semble que ce soit le Bélarus. Hervé Flanda en 2e position. Et bien apparemment, si on en croit donc ce qui est inscrit sur le haut de votre écran à gauche, c'est Andresen qui a encore fait un tour de pénalité, mais pour l'instant, la tête de la course a une nouvelle fois changé, c'est Franck Louk. Grâce à un super tir, Franck Louk qui est en tête. Les Allemands qui ont dominé toute la première moitié de cette course. Marc Kachner ensuite a connu des problèmes au tir, laissant le Norvégien et le Français lui passer devant. Mais maintenant, à l'issue du dernier tir couché, comme quoi tout peut changer jusqu'au dernier moment en biathlon. Et c'est l'Allemand qui est en tête devant logiquement, ça devrait être Hervé Flanda et Frode Andresen. Avec des concurrents qui viennent un petit peu de partout. Celui-ci est un attardé, il s'agit du Slovaque Maros Leitner. Donc apparemment c'est bien Franck Louk qui est devant avec Hervé Flanda sur ses talons et Frode Andresen qui lui aussi est aux côtés du Français. Un petit peu de confusion, mais c'est sûr, Frank Luuk, lui, est bien en tête. Alors qu'il ne reste plus que du ski dans ce relais masculin d'Hольmenkollen. Frank Luuk qui devrait être devant Frode Andresen, le Norvégien, et qui a dépassé Hervé Flandin. Le tricolore qui s'est retrouvé à la première place l'espace de quelques secondes. Ouais, mais il y a également le retour d'Alexei Kobelev. Regardez avec son numéro 8, le Russe. On ne les a pas vus jusqu'à présent et ils sont en train de prendre la deuxième place, les Russes. C'est plutôt une mauvaise nouvelle pour les Français. Mais quelle course extraordinaire de cette équipe russe. Deuxième au Östersund. On ne voit plus Hervé Flandin qui craque un petit peu physiquement. On l'avait déjà vu se présenter sur le pas de tir au tir debout avec la bouche grande ouverte à la recherche d'oxygène. Oh, quelle bataille pour la deuxième place. C'est donc Kobelev en deuxième position et Andresen, le Norvégien, en troisième, avec le Bélarus à la quatrième place. Il s'agit d'Oleg Rychenkov. Hervé Flandin n'est plus que cinquième. Il a du mal, Hervé Flandin. Il reste un peu plus d'1,5 km. Frank Luuk à 1 km de l'arrivée, à 1 km de la victoire pour un doublé allemand dans les deux premiers relais de la saison. À Östersund en Suède, Frank Luuk avait passé la ligne en vainqueur. Frank Luuk qui ne sera sans doute pas rejoint, mais la deuxième place est vraiment indécise entre Alexei Kobelev, le Russe, avec Frode Andresen, le Norvégien, mais également Oleg Rychenkov, le Bélarus. Cet homme est un concurrent attardé. Et derrière, Hervé Flandin qui ne parvient pas à rester au contact des meilleurs. Il aura de toute façon réalisé une belle course. Mais côté tricolore, il faut saluer la performance de Patrice Vallissalin et Raphaël Poiré. Ce n'est pas pour rien que ces deux hommes étaient les seuls qualifiés pour la poursuite hier, qu'ils ont effectué une superbe remontée. Et Hervé Flandin qui aura manqué un petit peu de fraîcheur physique en cette fin de course, lui qui avait terminé 6e à Östersund de l'individuel, qui pensait être venu au meilleur de sa forme et qui marque encore un petit peu le pas dans cette dernière boucle. Mais de toute façon, course magnifique de la part des Français. Et que dire de celle des Allemands, Frank Luuk qui ne s'est pas laissé aller alors que Marc Kirchner avait un petit peu hypothéqué les chances de l'équipe d'Allemagne. Il avait raté complètement son tir.